So today being September 5th and Teachers' Day, and knowledge in our culture being one of the great powers of the universe, or the Shaktis of the universe, I wanted to talk about the knowledge or the system that we are in, which is the 8 spiritual breaths. This is the core of our, because people keep asking me, what are these things that you do? What is this thing that you do? So this is in the nature of a sort of introduction. Very briefly put, the 8 spiritual breaths is a system to consciously evolve you. The word here is conscious, which means that your participation is vital for the process to work optimally. It transforms you at a physical level, it transforms you at a mental level, it transforms you at an emotional level, but most of all it transforms you at the energy level, the prana or the ki. That is where it transforms you. Now, in many ways, it is a very unique system of pranamaya and meditation, because first of all the breaths are done standing up except for the first breath, which is quite strange. Most systems teach you to breathe sitting down. This, and there are light bodily movements involved, and the breaths are repeated a specific number of times. Each breath is repeated a specific 7 times actually, except for the first breath, which is actually a preparatory breath. And then between the practice of one breath and the other, there is a process which is missing in most other systems. There is a process of affirmations. Now, traditionally, the 3 legs or the trikona, the triangle of a sadhana, used to be breath, meditation, and affirmation. That used to be the classical trikona, the triangle. Most systems today privilege one or the other, they forget about, and affirmations are hardly ever used. My teacher's teacher, Justice Dudat, used to say that even if you don't do the breaths, do the affirmations, because the transformatory power, the power of consciously evolving you, lies in the affirmations. The affirmations were written by the person who brought this knowledge from Tibet to the world in the early part of the 20th century, in the 1930s, John Dingle. And he has written them in such an inspired state of mind that it is like what the yogic sutras, the sutras, they used to say that the writers of the sutras would rather kill a son than add an extra word. So John Dingle has written these affirmations in a manner that even if you take one word away, or you try to change a word, or you try to change the positioning in the sentence, you can feel the Shakti go down. He has written them in such an exceptional manner, and they are all essentially from ancient scriptures, that is Hindu, Buddhist, and Christian. Since he was a Christian, he added some. But at the highest level, there is no real difference. At the highest mystical level, there is absolutely no difference. But there are direct quotations from the Bible also involved in it. But he was a hardcore yogi, so the yogic element is never diluted. So this is the external visible methodology. There is the breath, there is the affirmation. The process tends to be, it has a significant, for lack of a better word, drawback, though actually that is its power. It takes 9 weeks to do, 9 consecutive weeks, which is a huge improvement from the way it used to be taught to Dingle. He learnt it in 9 months. So it was exactly like gestation. You are going into a womb, and you spend 9 months in that womb, and then you emerge with this new way of being, with this new way of thinking, new way of feeling, new way of behaving. So since he realized that 9 months people would not have the time or the patience, though I would be tempted to try it one day. One day I would like to try teaching people over 9 months, and see how it would work. So he figured it out. He figured out, and then he teaches it over 9 weeks. Now I have myself experimented with trying to teach in shorter periods of time, and my conclusion is it's a waste of time. When it is taught as it is supposed to be taught, in the 7th week itself, people are having massive Kundalini activation. People who have never done a single day's yoga, meditation, pranayama in their life, in the 7th week they are having Kundalini activation, all the classical symptoms. So the fact that it is so structured, the fact that it is, he has constructed the affirmations and the instructions in a manner where it is coming from that higher consciousness, it is not coming from his mind, it is coming from that zone of wisdom. That is what impacts, and transforms the people. So I have seen many systems, and this one system to me seems to be the most integral, because it really deals with all the aspects of life that a human being could be involved in. And it really touches you, and it really touches you in the core aspects of life, whatever would be the 7 areas of life: physical, mental, emotional, psychological, familial, societal, professional, financial. At every one of those levels there is an affirmation crafted. There are affirmations for physically healing oneself, there are affirmations for physically rejuvenating oneself, there are affirmations for improving one's health, improving one's energy state, improving one's relationships. It's quite extraordinary the kind of Shakti that flows through it. And now I understand why Guruji, that is Justice Dudat, used to insist, even if you don't do the breaths, do the affirmations. Even if you don't do the breaths, do the affirmations. So it's quite an extraordinary process. And the other thing that I notice about, or the other thing that is inherent in the construct or in the design of the system, is that it brings you to a fantastic awareness, or in the initial stages it is a miserable awareness of how little control you have over your body. Because you're supposed to hold your hands in a certain way, you're supposed to move your arms in a certain way, you're supposed to bend backward and forward. And the way your body flies all over the place, because your body is not in your control, it is certainly not under the control of your emotion or even of your mind. And this is a way of integrating all those together. So these little things that he advises, the little ways in which to place your feet, place your fingers, place your hand, how to raise your hand, how much to swing your neck, they are all awareness training. And that is the core process of yoga. Now people think yogis have all kinds of miraculous supernatural abilities. The truth is, yogis are constantly in awareness, and that is why they seem to be having these miraculous abilities. This is awareness training. This is awareness training of how you sit, how you stand, how you breathe. The whole idea, what I keep telling my students is, you have to let your body understand that it has had a good run till now, but now it is under new management. You are now in charge of the body. The body follows what you want it to do. It does not make you follow what it wants to do. Because the body does have a rudimentary intelligence. It's a very animalistic intelligence. And it is wise to listen to it, but it is not wise to give it control. You should be in control. So, by giving you control of the bodily function, by giving you control of the mental, and most importantly of the emotional function, then the process of transformation. And the affirmation, one of the affirmations, breath number 7, the affirmation is purely and simply dealing with tissue rejuvenation. It's completely about rejuvenating yourself from your bone marrow upwards. It's that clear, it's that plain and simple it is explained, quite apart from the from the mystical and the spiritual and the psychological aspects of it, which all of which it is better to speak of in actual process, in actual class, because those are all deep things and should not be.
But issue even cellular level.
Yes, at a cellular level. And this is something also that I have seen Guruji say, that if you do it, it will happen. If you do it, it will happen. So the other thing I find very extraordinary about this system, which makes it very different, is that it starts you off by being happy and grateful and relaxed. Most of us have these ideas in our mind that one day we shall succeed, one day we shall tick off all the major events of our checklist, and then we shall be happy, then we will be grateful, then we will be relaxed.
Very linear.
Yeah. But these people know very clearly, that no, that's the wrong way to go about it.
Mind your hands. You can sit here when I come.
These people know very clearly that that is the wrong way to go about it. So from the beginning they hammer away at changing your emotional thermostat. They keep, that's the word I call it, the emotional thermostat, because we all have a certain basic level setting, of everything, of where our mind will be, how happy or unhappy we will be, of where our emotions will be. Even our financial state in life is dependent on a thermostat. We have a financial thermostat too, which is why it's a well-known fact that people who win the lottery, within 3 years they go back to the day they won the lottery. They go back to the same financial circumstances as the time they won the lottery, because of that inner thermostat. So this is a way of raising your level at a regular. So it's quite an interesting, but this insistence on happiness and gratitude and relaxation as starting points. So they keep hammering away at that. Be happy, be relaxed, be grateful. Be happy, be relaxed, be grateful. And then of course there are a lot of mystical sort of things where they work with all the various fires of the body, the Jataragni and the Kundalini. It is it is of course Kundalini Yoga. It is a very deep level of Kundalini Yoga. But it is also what is called in the Laya Yoga, the Rhythm Yoga. It is the yoga of rhythm, because the whole idea of Laya Yoga is that the universe is vibration, and once we understand the rhythm of a particular vibration, the rhythm of a particular form, then we master it. So that is the whole process of Laya Yoga, and this is a very deep kind of Laya Yoga that operates. So the patience that is needed to learn it, of course, would seem like a drawback, but actually I believe it is an advantage. Now that I have begun teaching it, I realize that it is actually a huge advantage. It is better that you learn slowly. It is better that you learn a breath a week, you really engage with it, you really engage with the affirmations. You start unpacking the nuances, you start seeing the implications. What does this mean? How would this impact me? And it does not ask you, it's a very no rule based. There is no rules over there to it. It does not tell you stop eating this, stop drinking that, stop doing this. It's just that if you're doing the breaths and the affirmations, whatever is not consciously evolving you sort of drops by itself. So that is quite a dramatic. I can give my personal validation or my personal testimony here. I used to be 91 kilos. For my height, that is a heart attack waiting to happen. Merely by doing the breaths, no exercise, I came down to 65. Now I fluctuate between 65 and 70, which is still a couple of kilos overweight, but still that's feasible, that's manageable, and I'm not hung up on looking like Salman Khan, so that's fine. But the fact is, what happened is, because of the breaths and the affirmations, almost without my knowing it, I began to eat healthier. The minute you eat healthier, and then of course the breaths, they direct your thought and your emotion, and energy follows attention, energy follows awareness. So if you want to be in a more healthy state, you want to be in a more fit state, your body does start reacting. You can actually experiment. I'm doing some experiments with what is possible with this. when I am fully convinced or when I have really good more data to report, I shall report. But I can tell you, you can do kind of pretty freaky things with this. You can do pretty freaky things with the body and the mind. Emotionally, of course, it stabilizes you. It just makes you very, 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 very calm. So the fact is that I was a phenomenally angry human being, and because of the anger, the adrenaline would be always up, and my mouth would always be tasting. I had the taste of anger in my mouth all the time because the adrenaline was even in the saliva.
There's a taste.
Yeah, it is the taste of anger. When you're in a rage, your mouth fills with a certain kind of hormonal, and I lived for years with that, all my life actually. And I didn't even realize what had happened until one day the taste in my mouth had changed. And then I realized that hormonal changes happened. So that I realized that there is the anger is not there. I mean, it's not like my temper is gone, the temper is there, but the anger is not there. Temper is fine. Swami Vivekananda used to say, I like people with temper, only they can do things in spirituality. So temper is fine. But the anger, that reactivity, that flying off, and the constant state of arousal, the constant state of aggression, the constant state of, and it completely shocked me, because one day after many years I got into a real rage with somebody, and that old thing flooded into the mouth, and that's when I figured out, oh my God, I was in permanent hormonal stimulation, that. So to that extent it can transform you, to that extent it can bring about the change. So the other thing I've noticed about people who've done this for a long time is that they look much younger than their years. They look very, very much younger than their years. So a large part of this is also that remaining young and not falling into the habit that the mind, body, emotion has, that we become old and we become decrepit, and then you know our bones become brittle, and then we will decay, and finally we will end up on a bed. क्या कहते हैं कि कुछ और दिन ऐसे चलेगा, फिर आप लेटेंगे, और अगर बहुत किस्मत रहे तो कुछ लोग उठाएंगे भी.
That is actually opportunity.
You got put there. This will carry on in that way for a while. Then you will lie down for a longer, and then if you're very lucky, there'll be for people to उठाने के लिए. तो ये चलेगा, फिर लेटेगा, बाद में उठेगा. So this mindset that we have of inevitable decrepitude, of decline, of illness, of disease, this is a complete that whole neurological conditioning is wiped out. The entire neurological conditioning is wiped out, because if you want to comprehend the infinite, if you want to comprehend what we call God or the soul or the Atma or the universe, it's not possible with your mind and your body. They are limited, they are finite. You cannot comprehend the infinite with the finite. You have to come to a level or to a vibration where you can access that. So at the deepest level, it is of course a spiritual process. But like I said, the spiritual aspects, it is better to learn in session. It is better to learn one-to-one. Those things should not be revealed in public. Not that they are secret, but certain things are not appropriate to reveal always in public. So you can talk about the psychological, and you can talk about the physical and the emotional. But at the deepest level, it is a transformatory sadhana. So that's why I keep saying this is a process for consciously evolving yourself. The 8 spiritual breaths is a magnificent process for consciously evolving yourself. Everything else actually is just bonus. All the physical, mental, emotional that you get is just a